Do you know what this is for?
To like later to make it easier to see.
Yes, this makes it easier to get a sound and video match. This is Gwen. This is Tadashi.
Tadashi.
Tadashi. Okay. And we took the test, TOEIC Speaking Test in Tokyo.
Yes, I'm in Tokyo right now.
In Tokyo a few days ago, this year. And we haven't talked about the test.
Yet, yes.
And before asking the questions about the test, I want to ask you if you see the difference between the test situation in Japan and in Korea.
Yes, there are definitely like two major differences. And the first one is that they give us a thing called OMR sheet. And it's where you use a computer like pen to mark all of the information necessary. But here they gave us a very thin sheet of paper. And then it was the same on the back side of it. We were able to use that as a scratch paper. So that sheet was different. That was one thing. And another shocking thing was in Korea, we start all at the same time. So a lot of students complain about that. And they're all saying, oh, teacher, I can't hear myself or concentrate on myself talking. So what can I do? But here, you take tests individually.
Yes.
So that was a little like shocking to me.
In the order in which we arrive at the test center. So when I took the test in Korea, that makes it a little bit harder. I wasn't able to listen to myself well. It was fun though.
It's like racing horses, right? Everybody talking together.
Yes, yes. And in Korea, I had to answer questionnaires in Korean. That was the hardest part. In Japan?
No, not that I can think of. Everything was just easy to fill in. And actually, there was nothing much to fill in. So yeah.
You don't have to be able to understand Japanese in Japan.
Oh, one major difference. It's cheaper to take the test in Japan
Really?
than Korea. Yes.
I think it's just because of the latest currency.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Exchange
I was
rate.
happy. It was cheaper.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you the questions about the test from part 1 to part 5.
Yes, I took a note right after the test, so I would remember them for this.
We're going to talk about the part 1 first. How was it? Was it easy, moderate, hard?
I think it was just like moderate overall, and part 1 was actually quite moderate, like level. And for the first passage, there were some words that we always see on the test, like travelers or transportation. And I always tell my students that TR has that ch similar pronunciation. So those words were there. And also the word county. A lot of students, they mistake that word with country. So that word could have been tricky.
Yeah.
And the second one, I guess nothing so much, but the word performance might have been hard for some people to get the right stress on the second syllable, performance. But other than that, it was just normal.
I agree. As far as I remember, I didn't see any difficult words to pronounce.
And part 2, I think, was the problem. Because like in the first picture, a guy who you thought was taking a picture was who I thought was looking into a telescope to look at something far away.
And I thought the guy was taking pictures with a camera.
Yeah, so that was one thing in the first picture. And the second picture, it was a picture taken at a waterfront, which doesn't happen quite often. And 2 people were riding canoes. So I think like some students would have had a hard time talking about the name of the boats. They're normally called canoes, but some people might say small boats, which is totally fine. So yeah.
Was it easy, moderate, hard?
I think it wasn't so easy. I think the first
because
picture,
of the second picture?
I think because of the second picture. The first picture was okay, I could like rate that as an easy one, although there were like 5-6 people there. But the second picture, I'm pretty sure some students who might have not seen like waterfront pictures would have thought, oh, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. So let's move on to the part 3.
And this was the, it was about donation.
Yeah. It's quite unusual. I've never been asked questions like that.
That's a really hard and tough question for a lot of like, foreigners to answer in English. So do you make donations?
To be honest,
To be honest.
never.
That's the thing. I mean, like, people make donations, but not a lot of people, right? So I make donations, but I never thought about these kind of things. And the questions were like, would you consider making donations online, or what would you do if you have to give a small gift to donors? So those were quite unique, but I think it would have been challenging, quite hard for people.
As I said earlier, it was quite unusual. I've never pronounced that word donate or donation, and I've never used that noun. But if you read the sentence right in front of you, you can tell how to use the words. And so if you know the English grammar, it's not a big problem. It wouldn't be that difficult to construct your own sentences.
That's right. But it's donate money or make a donation. And people who make donations are called donors. So yeah, those words could be tricky.
Okay, how about part 4?
I think part 4 was like the easiest one out of all.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's just the normal, the presentation, lecture, workshop kind of like thing. And they asked about like the registration fee, I believe. So it was just a normal thing. But the one thing here was the first session, where on the first line was registration.
Yes.
So that wasn't the first session, right? So we had to skip the first line and then move on to the second line to talk about the first session.
When I answering the part 4, 4, I encountered the minor technical problems. The sound suddenly went quiet. And the third question, I was lucky because the last question repeats. I wasn't able to listen to the first round at all. So I was wondering if I raise my hand, I might have to take answer the test
From the beginning?
Yes, from the beginning, or from the start of the part 4.
All over again.
I didn't like it, and I was still hesitant. Then I could get the sound back, and I was able to listen to the second time. And you said,
I was able to notice something quite similar, like the screen was blinking like twice, 3 times throughout the whole test. And I was thinking, oh, will there be a disconnection? But it didn't go out completely. So yeah, it wasn't a distraction.
That was my favorite test center in Tokyo. So, but anyway, so we're going to talk about that last part, part 5.
Well, last part was a very, very easy question. They were
For you.
Yeah. But it's a question that I always deal with my students. It's about like, to be a good employee, basically, you have to be able to work with a team. We always talk about teamwork, how you should have team spirit and be able to support other team members. And that's exact, thing that you could have said for this question.
Your latest book also explains how to answer those kind of questions.
Yeah, I tell them that, you don't need 2 reasons and you don't need 2 supportive, examples. You just work on one and just give a story using that, storyline, right? The situation, trouble, action, and result. And I think like if you follow through that structure, it would be much easier for like, beginners to approach the answer for this part.
Did you enjoy taking the test in Japan?
I could have never, imagined taking a test in Tokyo because, why would you? Why would you take a test in a foreign country? When he came to Korea to take the test, I was like, why? But it was a very fun experience. And it was very unique. And I was able to know the difference between the 2 countries. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Say bye to the camera.
Bye.